been thinking about ways to make it sound cool, but I can't. I'm eating a lot of protein and vegetables and walking. That's what I'm doing.
For years, Jelly Roll has been known for his raw honesty, powerful music, and larger-than-life presence. But recently, fans were left completely stunned after seeing his dramatic transformation. Social media exploded with reactions. Speculation quickly spread online, and many people began asking the same question: what really happened to Jelly Roll? Behind the shocking change lies a story filled with struggle, determination, personal battles, and emotional moments that few expected. So how did the chart-topping star undergo such a remarkable transformation? And what does it reveal about his life today? The transformation nobody saw coming. When Jelly Roll stepped into public view during early 2024, longtime fans immediately sensed something had changed. The man once known for his massive frame suddenly looked noticeably smaller, healthier, and more energized, and the reaction online exploded almost instantly. Clips from interviews, concerts, and podcast appearances spread across social media as viewers compared recent footage with older videos from only months earlier. Some supporters celebrated the change with emotional messages, while others struggled to believe they were even looking at the same person. For years, Jelly Roll had been open about weighing more than 500 pounds and living with the physical limitations that came with it. He admitted that simple activities often became humiliating experiences behind closed doors. Before appearing at restaurants or venues, he would search online for pictures of chairs and seating arrangements, worried he might not fit comfortably in public. He also revealed that he spent years avoiding experiences most people considered normal, including riding a roller coaster for the first time only as an adult. Those confessions suddenly carried far more weight once his transformation became visible. As attention intensified, fans began searching for answers. Many wondered what could have pushed the country star into such a dramatic lifestyle change after decades of struggling with addiction, mental pressure, and public scrutiny. Others questioned whether the transformation reflected deeper fears about his health and future. Jelly Roll himself only added to the mystery when he admitted that he finally felt incredible physically after years of discomfort and exhaustion. His comments sounded hopeful, yet they also hinted at how serious his condition may have become before the public noticed the changes. The emotional reaction from supporters revealed how deeply audiences connected with his story. For many fans, Jelly Roll represented survival, honesty, and the idea that damaged people could still rebuild their lives. Seeing him transform so rapidly felt inspiring, but also unsettling. Some quietly wondered whether success, touring, and constant visibility had forced him into confronting realities he could no longer ignore. Behind the excitement surrounding his appearance, a larger question continued growing louder. What exactly had happened to Jelly Roll before the cameras captured this dramatically different version of him? The more interviews surfaced, the more the transformation stopped looking like a celebrity makeover and started resembling a man racing against time, trying to outrun damage before everything surrendered. Why were those closest to him suddenly speaking differently behind closed doors? What private struggle changed everything so fast? And why did Jelly Roll insist he had never felt better? Even as worried fans feared something far deeper was unfolding beneath the transformation. Keep watching. Jelly Roll's hidden survival fear. As Jelly Roll's transformation continued drawing attention across social media, another story slowly began emerging beneath the excitement. The dramatic weight loss shocked fans, but his own confessions revealed something far more troubling hiding behind the headlines. For years, the country star had quietly lived with fears that most people around him never fully understood. Long before audiences praised his healthier appearance, he was already battling humiliation, physical pain, and the growing realization that his body was beginning to control every part of his life. During interviews and podcast appearances, Jelly Roll openly admitted that everyday situations had become emotionally exhausting. Before entering restaurants, concert venues, or public spaces, he often searched online photographs to study the seating arrangements in advance. He worried constantly about whether chairs would support his weight, or if people would stare when he struggled to move comfortably. Those private routines revealed how deeply anxiety had taken hold of his life behind closed doors. What looked like confidence on stage often hid constant fear away from cameras. At one point, Jelly Roll weighed more than 500 pounds, and the physical limitations became impossible to ignore. Simple experiences many people barely think about turned into reminders of what he could no longer do freely. He later admitted that he avoided certain activities altogether because of embarrassment and discomfort. Even walking through crowded areas reportedly carried emotional pressure because he feared becoming the center of attention for the wrong reasons. Supporters saw a successful artist selling out venues and dominating headlines, but privately, he appeared trapped inside a body that no longer felt manageable. As his fame continued growing, the pressure surrounding his health seemed to intensify. Touring demanded energy, mobility, and stamina, while constant public visibility made every struggle harder to hide. Some fans began wondering whether the transformation was less about appearance and more about survival itself. His statements about finally feeling incredible physically only fueled speculation that conditions behind the scenes may have become far worse than outsiders realized. Success had brought him recognition and wealth, yet it may also have forced him into confronting fears he spent years trying to ignore. The deeper audiences looked into Jelly Roll's transformation, the clearer it became that this journey was never simply about losing weight. It reflected years of silent exhaustion, emotional isolation, and a growing fear that time was beginning to run out for him completely. What happens when fame becomes a prison instead of salvation? Who noticed the warning signs before everything changed? And why did one painful realization reportedly force Jelly Roll toward a decision nobody expected? A decision that would soon leave fans completely stunned and questioning everything they thought they knew? Stay glued. Success could not save him. By the time Jelly Roll reached a new level of fame, the excitement surrounding his success had begun colliding with a growing personal crisis. Sold-out concerts, major interviews, and chart-topping songs created the image of a man finally winning after years of struggle. From the outside, his life seemed to be improving in every possible way. Yet behind the applause and headlines, the pressure on his body and mind reportedly continued building faster than most fans realized. The more successful his career became, the harder it was to ignore the physical reality following him everywhere. Touring reportedly became especially exhausting. Long travel schedules, performances, public appearances, and non-stop movement pushed his body to dangerous limits. Jelly Roll openly admitted that even simple mobility remained difficult despite his rising fame. Every appearance demanded energy he struggled to maintain, while every performance placed him under intense public attention. Fans noticed moments where he looked tired and drained, and supporters online quietly began questioning how much longer his body could handle the pressure. For many observers, the warning signs no longer seemed easy to ignore. The emotional contradictions surrounding his life made the situation even more complicated. Jelly Roll had spent years surviving addiction, prison, poverty, and rejection to finally achieve mainstream success. Yet just as he reached the career level he had dreamed about for decades, his health appeared to become one of the biggest threats to his future. Fame brought recognition and opportunity, but it could not erase years of damage overnight. That realization seemed to shift something inside him. The excitement of success reportedly started mixing with fear about whether he would remain healthy enough to enjoy the life he had fought so hard to build. As speculations surrounding his condition intensified online, many fans started viewing his transformation differently. Some believed success simply motivated him to change, while others suspected the decision carried deeper urgency. His own statements about finally feeling better physically strengthened the belief that things behind the scenes may have become more serious than audiences realized publicly. Eventually, Jelly Roll committed fully to changing his routine, diet, and physical habits. To many watching closely, the transformation no longer looked connected to image alone. It looked like a man realizing he had reached a dangerous crossroads before it became too late. The deeper the transformation unfolded, the more survival appeared connected to every difficult decision. Was Jelly Roll already watching his own body collapse behind the applause? Who finally forced him to confront the terrifying reality ahead? And after one deeply emotional moment changed everything, what shocking step did he secretly take next that nobody expected from him at all? Let's find out. The routine that changed everything. After years of public struggles with weight, addiction, and exhaustion, Jelly Roll suddenly began living in a way many people around him barely recognized. His transformation was no longer only about appearance. Behind the scenes, his daily routine reportedly became focused on discipline, endurance, and survival. Fans first noticed the physical changes during interviews and public appearances, but few understood how dramatically his lifestyle had changed to reach that point. What once seemed impossible for the country star slowly became part of his everyday life. Jelly Roll later revealed that he committed himself to regular physical activity, even when his body resisted it. Walking became a major part of his routine, and reports claimed he pushed himself through several miles almost every day. After spending years weighing more than 500 pounds, even basic movement had once been exhausting. Now, he appeared determined to rebuild his stamina step by step. The process demanded constant effort, especially while balancing tours, performances, and public responsibilities. Fans who remembered his earlier struggles were shocked by how quickly the transformation became visible. The changes extended far beyond exercise. Jelly Roll also embraced strict adjustments to his diet, replacing destructive habits that had followed him for years. He openly discussed focusing on healthier foods while removing routines that once contributed to his physical decline. Alongside training and diet, he reportedly added sauna sessions and cold plunges to his schedule as part of his recovery process. The intensity of the routine surprised many supporters because it reflected a level of discipline few expected from someone who had spent much of his life battling addiction and instability. As updates about his progress spread online, reactions became emotional. Some fans viewed the transformation as proof that change remained possible after decades of struggle. Others quietly questioned whether the speed of the changes reflected deeper pressure behind the scenes. His determination suggested the journey carried enormous personal importance. What outsiders viewed as fitness goals may actually have represented a desperate attempt to regain control over his future before his health completely collapsed. For many watching closely, the transformation no longer looked temporary. It looked like a man fighting years of damage, knowing he could no longer afford to lose that battle. To supporters, the transformation became more than a celebrity health story. It revealed a battle between survival, redemption, and the fear that damage might become difficult to escape. Fans watched the pounds disappear, yet something far more unsettling started changing behind closed doors. Was this discipline becoming an obsession? Did someone close to Jelly Roll fear where it was leading? And why were insiders suddenly questioning whether the transformation was hiding a much darker emotional battle underneath? Stay tuned. The past still haunted him. Even as Jelly Roll's transformation amazed fans, the emotional damage from his past never fully disappeared. The weight loss brought attention, praise, and headlines, but it did not erase the years of addiction, crime, trauma, and instability that shaped his life long before fame arrived. Behind the healthier appearance stood a man still carrying memories that success could not remove. For supporters watching from the outside, the transformation looked inspiring. For Jelly Roll himself, it appeared far more complicated. Long before becoming a country music star, Jelly Roll had already spent years trapped in destructive cycles. His childhood in Nashville exposed him early to addiction, emotional instability, and criminal behavior that eventually pulled him toward prison and self-destruction. Those experiences left emotional scars that followed him into adulthood even after his career exploded. He openly admitted that addiction had surrounded his life for years, and although he managed to leave harder substances behind, the memories of that period never truly disappeared. Every major success seemed connected to reminders of the person he once feared becoming. As his public image changed during the weight loss journey, a different kind of pressure began growing around him. Fans increasingly viewed Jelly Roll as proof that damaged people could rebuild themselves. Interviews, social media posts, and public appearances transformed him into a symbol of redemption for supporters with addiction, mental health, and failure. But carrying that kind of expectation created a burden. The more people celebrated his transformation, the greater the fear of disappointing them appeared to become. Some observers quietly questioned whether the pressure itself may have intensified his struggles behind closed doors. His dramatic physical changes were visible to everyone, but the deeper psychological battle remained harder to measure publicly. Jelly Roll continued speaking openly about pain, regret, and the consequences of his past choices, suggesting that the transformation never erased his guilt completely. Even while improving his health, he still appeared aware of the lives affected during his years of addiction and criminal behavior. The deeper this journey unfolded, the clearer it became that Jelly Roll was not simply fighting against weight or unhealthy habits. He was battling years of emotional damage that no amount of fame, money, or public admiration could repair for good. His transformation may have changed how the world saw him, but privately, the war against his past seemed far from finished. Could the pain he buried years ago destroy everything he rebuilt? Was fame becoming another dangerous addiction? And why were those closest to him suddenly growing worried again? Just when his transformation seemed complete, a deeply personal moment threatened exposing wounds he could no longer hide from the world. When concerns started spreading online, as Jelly Roll's transformation became impossible to ignore, public reaction shifted in unexpected ways. At first, fans celebrated his weight loss updates, praising him for taking control of his health after years of struggle. Social media filled with supportive messages and comparisons, showing how dramatically his appearance changed in a short time. But as the transformation accelerated, admiration mixed with concern, as supporters questioned the emotional and physical pressure involved. Online discussions became divided between those who saw discipline and those who suspected deeper pressure behind the scenes. Touring demands, performances, interviews, and public attention already required enormous energy from him. While trying to maintain intense workouts and lifestyle changes, many wondered how much pressure one person could handle. Every public appearance triggered comparisons between old and new footage, turning his body into a public discussion point. What began as personal progress slowly became a public spectacle, with constant scrutiny and emotional pressure. Jelly Roll admitted the journey was far from complete, saying he still had a long road ahead. His comments suggested the transformation did not bring closure, but created new expectations around his image and future. Fans who once worried only about his health now watched closely, fearing emotional collapse under pressure. Some saw strength and reinvention, while others saw emotional strain beneath the motivation. Behind the headlines and praise, uncertainty continued to grow, leaving fans questioning whether the transformation represented healing or a new form of struggle that was harder to see, but deeply felt. Ultimately, his transformation raised more questions than answers about the cost of change behind fame and identity itself now. Why were some fans suddenly worried instead of inspired? Was the pressure destroying him faster than anyone realized? And after admitting the battle was far from over, what private struggle was Jelly Roll still hiding behind the applause, the cameras, and the transformation everyone thought had already saved him? Stay with us! the person fame couldn't destroy. By the end of Jelly Roll's transformation journey, the conversation surrounding him had become much bigger than weight loss alone. What started as public shock over his changing appearance slowly evolved into something far more emotional. Fans were no longer only discussing how different he looked, they were now questioning who he had become after surviving years of addiction, prison, rejection, and self-destruction. The transformation appeared physical on the surface, but underneath it revealed a man trying to rebuild his identity before his past consumed him completely. For much of his life, Jelly Roll carried the image of someone who was never expected to succeed. He openly discussed growing up around instability, entering prison at a young age, and spending years trapped in destructive patterns that seemed impossible to escape. Even after his music career exploded, traces of those experiences continued following him publicly and privately. Yet as his health improved and his confidence visibly grew, supporters began seeing a different version of the artist they had watched struggle for years. His energy appeared stronger, his outlook sounded clearer, and for the first time, he seemed to believe he might actually have a future beyond survival. The reaction from fans became deeply emotional because many people saw parts of themselves reflected in his story. Jelly Roll represented failure, redemption, pain, and perseverance all at once. After spending years being underestimated because of his weight, appearance, and criminal history, he was suddenly receiving admiration from audiences who once doubted him. That shift carried powerful meaning. It suggested that his transformation was not simply changing how he looked, it was changing how he viewed his own value after decades of shame and self-punishment. Still, the journey remained unfinished. Despite the praise surrounding his progress, Jelly Roll repeatedly admitted that he still had more weight to lose and more work ahead of him, physically and mentally. Those statements mattered because they revealed how aware he remained of the battle continuing beneath the surface. The healthier lifestyle, public success, and emotional support had not erased the damage from years of addiction and trauma overnight. They had only given him another chance to confront it differently. As the story surrounding Jelly Roll's transformation continued unfolding, one truth became impossible to ignore. This was never just about fitness, celebrity image, or public approval. It was about whether a man who spent decades fighting himself could finally escape the version of his life that once seemed destined to destroy him. And even after everything he had overcome, that question remained hanging quietly over his future today. So, what do you think? Was Jelly Roll's transformation truly about health and redemption, or was deeper emotional pressure driving everything behind the scenes? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.